That's what it is.
We're recording live Sports and Songs podcast today, Friday, June 4th, on a special Friday program here. This is season 2, episode number 28. I'm your co-host, Dan. Our other co-host is Andy, live from Watertown. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm out of the sun right now, so it's a great day.
Well, it topped out at about 98 or 97 today, I think.
Is that the official number?
Well, I'm just glad to be indoors at the studios rather than out in the backyard doing the show. Like,
yes. Things are good at the Roxy Studios?
Roxy Studios are good. We're going to a ball game tonight. Waconia Lakers against the Chaska Cubs, a little Class B versus Class C non-conference matchup here on a Friday night. It's burger night, so I saved up and I got my new birthday present, Andy.
There you go. You taking the little lady out for dinner tonight, I see? Burgers at the ball game?
Going out for dinner. Burger night at the athletic ballpark. That'll be date night.
You know how to treat a girl, don't you?
Yes, it's all part of the show. You know, we work hard here.
Yep.
And so
now, is this a business dinner tonight? You're going to write it off as a business dinner with her?
Business dinner, all cash expense. I'll need my burgers and beers at the ballpark. So
yes,
they have all the receipts. It should be a nice night, you know, sitting in the sun. I haven't been to a Chaska game now in a couple of years out there since moving here to Waconia, but looking forward to it tonight. It should be a good ball game. We're going to post this episode on YouTube tomorrow, Saturday morning, and then do our typical anchor 9 a.m. Sunday morning for the drop. And we've got some good topics today. A lot of sports going on. We've got music, concerts, album of the week, soapbox for Andy.
Soapbox is in full force tonight. Yes.
You have a person of the week, correct?
Yes and no. It's kind of tied in with other stuff, so we shall see.
Well, let's start off with the trivia question of the week.
All right.
Fire away. Box 9 Town Ball Tour. They kicked off their season. They do seven ball fields they visit in the summertime. They had the first one here at Waconia at Lions Field on Wednesday. They've been doing this for a few years. The question is, what year was the first year they started the Town Ball Tour? What year is the question? And for the listeners, and Andy, for the listeners out there that aren't paying attention, this is 2021. So back out a few years. The only hint I can give is that they didn't do it last year. They took the year off due to the pandemic.
Right.
So what's the first year they started? We'll go from there. Let's hear some sports updates.
All right, here we will get started. Like I said, it was 100 degrees here today, roughly, here in the cities. So to help you feel a little better, the Bemidji State Beavers released their football schedule today to help cool you off. Think some football. So there's the Beaver schedule for 21. If Bemidji State's not cold enough for you, there's the Bison schedule for this year. You can go to both schools' websites to see which game is the homecoming game and certain town possession games. Like I said, like the South Dakota State NDSU game is for the marker game and stuff like that. So
yeah, Andy, I got a question. You know, for the listeners out there that may not know, the FCS games just got done playing in the spring, and now
yes.
Are you saying now that they're back on schedule for the fall?
They are on schedule. They're going to go right back into quote unquote normal scheduling. So,
well, busy year for the folks. Not much time off to get back into some mini camps and stuff.
That was kind of thing. The playoffs with the FCS for Sam Houston State. If they would have had the full time off, their quarterback was kind of injured. That's why they didn't play him, because they knew they had camp coming up a few months later. So that did have a lot to do with that, but we shall see coming up. There's a little map there of Minneapolis, St. Paul to Seattle. Andy, why are you showing us a map? This is not geography, sports, and songs. But minority owner in the Timberwolves, A-Rod, as I like to call him, is thinking of moving the team to Seattle. Alex Rodriquez, when he played baseball, started with the Mariners organization and still has ties there. He has brought up the fact he would like to move the Timberwolves to Seattle. Now, Glenn Taylor always said he never wanted to move the team. If I sell the team, they got to stay here. That was never put in the final deal when it was sold. The thing holding it up, there's two things holding it up. One, when you buy the Timberwolves, you get the Lynx too, which in a way, it should sound like if you buy the Lynx, you're stuck with the Timberwolves too. That's my opinion. But second of all is the lease they have with Target Center. They have a lease there through 2035. If they break that lease, it costs them $50 million. I think A-Rod has that in his spare change fund. So him and his other owners he bought with would pay the $50 million to get out, no problem, to move the team. The only thing would be stipulations between the WNBA and NBA about splitting the Lynx and Timberwolves, if they'd let that happen. Now, not every team that has a WNBA team has an NBA team, hence the Connecticut Sun and stuff like that, the Las Vegas Aces. When the league first started, it was that way, except for the Connecticut Sun. A lot of teams, the pro and minor league or pro and women's team, are owned by the same owners and minority owners, but some have split, and that's kind of what this would be. Sounds like it could be just a lot of paperwork more than anything. I think A-Rod could probably move the team without a problem. NBA would have to vote for it to be okay, and I don't see why they would. Our attendance hasn't been the greatest here. Seattle wants a team back. So instead of expansion, you move one. That could happen. That'd be our second team we've lost. Hence a trivia question for next week, maybe. NASCAR. Kyle Larson won the Coca Cola 600 last week, led a majority of the laps. Kyle Larson was just as dominant as one man could be in a race that week. It was just, it was kind of like watching just someone throttle someone in a football game or baseball game, just having their way with them. It was almost kind of funny to me in a way to watch it. Kyle Larson, like, he'd go in the pit, get gas, and come out, work his way back up to first place. You know, just, I want to lead now, boom. It's just a real dominant performance. You don't see that very often. And here's the great thing about NASCAR. They go from a 600-mile race to a 350 the next week. It's going to feel like nothing for these guys now. The Toyota Save Mart 350, Sunday, June 6th, 4 p.m. Eastern on FS1. 90 laps, 226.8 miles. So there you go. That should be a fun one to watch. The race after a big race like that's always kind of interesting too. It's always kind of fun to watch. We'll see how that works out for the boys there. NCAA championships, there is a couple going on right now. Baseball and softball, as I got my Bison cap on because the North Dakota State Bison did make the NCAA playoffs. They have 64 teams in baseball for the championship. You can get your bracket at ncaa.org. They do it a little differently with their seeding, though. I mean, it breaks out to 1 through 64. But the first 4 teams are seeded 1 through 4. Then the next group is 1 through 4. Okay. So they have 16 groups of 1 through 4, which is okay, I guess. Kind of helps stroke your ego to say what you were for a seed. The Bison are in the Stanford section, if you will, because they keep 4 teams there for travel. They play at Stanford. The Bison are the 4th seed in their group. They play number 1 Stanford. Also in that group is Nevada and UC Irvine. The top 16 seeds were all the number 1 seeds as you go through. So it should be a good bracket. The way they work it, first round games are either at a neutral site or at the number 1 seed's campus, depending how that works. And they're double elimination. So you can lose one game and still be okay. And you go through, then the super regions are June 13th or 11th through 13th. And 12th, 24th, either campus or neutral sites based, and that's a best of 3. And then they go to Omaha, double elimination for the championships there. Always fun to watch College Baseball World Series. I love it. It's fun to watch, especially when you get to Omaha. Double elimination, it's kind of different there. For softball, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 teams are left. Number 1 seed Oklahoma lost to James Madison University, who's football-wise, if those of us who remember football, FCS, kind of give Bison some headaches or fears every now and then. So if you've heard James Madison before, it's more football talk earlier in the year. James Madison did upset number 1 Oklahoma. Now, the way they work it for women's softball, it's kind of a double elimination, but James Madison won game once. They went on to face Oklahoma State, who's the 5 seed, and they beat Georgia. Well, Oklahoma will face Georgia in the losers bracket, and you kind of move on from there. So kind of like a tournaments that way. So James Madison's now in the winners bracket. They go Oklahoma State tonight at 7 p.m. So right after this, we'll be watching that game. But yeah, so that's how you can follow that. Also, NCAA.org, the women's softball tournaments. So that's always fun to watch both of those. I really enjoy them. Here's one thing at Crown College here. It's St. Bonifacius, Minnesota. Junior Athletics Day, May 7th, coming up here. Minnesota high school softball players are invited to join college coaches from Crown, Valparaiso, Cretin, North Dakota State, and more. Tuesday, June 15th in St. Bonnie. There is the link right there, Junior Day of Softball, or you can just contact Crown College in St. Bonnie. Gals for softball, I want to get some extra coaches, kind of like those instructional things. Good workout from great coaches in the area to see. That's kind of something different and fun to go to. There's our boy Kevin Pillar in the Mets, who took the fastball off the face, got his little face guard back. Already playing in the field. He just wears the guard when he's in the field. He just has his regular batting helmet when he bats, but there's his face shields for his broken nose as he plays. Unlike, like we said last week, LeBron, who gets a little poke in the eye and has to lay on the ground for a minute and a half. So there's Kevin. I think he'll probably go for the surgery after the season for constructive surgery. There we go. Baseball standings. And this will kind of explain why Pillar's not having his surgery when you see the Mets standings later. As of today for Friday, Tampa Bay, first place. Boston and New York, second. WCGB is wild card games behind. So Boston a +2 means they have a 2-game lead in that. AL Central, the Chi Sox, Cleveland, no games behind in the wild card, so that means they would be the other team in the wild card. Kansas City, 2 games out in wild card. Twins are just playing out their schedule. I'm sorry. I've kind of lost faith in the local 9 there. Just it seems like I don't know what it is. If every game was a 5-inning game, they'd be awesome. But then after that, they just like forget to play baseball or something. I don't know. AL West, still gonna be I can't believe this. Seattle's at 500 and 4 out. Oakland's doing well. The Angels, though, you look at that roster and they're 25 and 31. I still can't figure that out. I don't know what they got. What's his name? The manager there, Madden. He's doing good. You got Trout. I just don't know why they're 25 and 31. The other 20-odd players just must suck that bad. I don't know. Mets 3.5 games up, biggest lead in baseball. And the sad thing is they have none of their starters in there. Position players are all out. Injury, broken face, misses for a few games. I mean, that's what scares me about the Mets, and I'm not making excuses. I'm being a realist as a Mets fan. I'm a little worried when the starters come back because these teams got a chemistry going right now. These players, they're playing well together. And the sad thing is the only starter still in there is Francisco Lindor and is below 200 batting average. So, go figure. National League Central, the Cubbies. Both Chicago teams in first place right now. Cubbies and the Chi Sox. So, to be a sports reporter in Chicago this summer. Cubs game-and-a-half lead over St. Louis, 2 over Milwaukee. Like I said before, this is I don't care what you say about the West. This is going to be the fun race to watch right here, in my opinion. So we get here to the West. Giants, Padres, Dodgers. Yeah, this is going to be close and exciting too, but I just got a feeling after the All-Star break, one of these teams is just going to pull away, or one of them's going to just drop off the face of the earth. This one here in the Central, I think you're going to see all 3 teams here till mid-September within 2 games of each other. So that's my picks on that. USA Baseball for the Olympics. Here's the opening round standings. They kind of went in Group A and Group B. Top 2 from each group advanced on. Group A was U.S., the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, and Peru. Then Group B, Venezuela, Canada, Cuba, and Colombia. And then they combine to the super round right there. USA is 1-0. The winner over Canada. Dominican Republic and Venezuela have split. Schedule earlier today, Venezuela got lost. That's why the records were 1-1 for them. And U.S. and Canada playing tonight. All these games are down in West Palm Beach down there. WBSC.org is the website to follow the games. I also on that WBSC Facebook page have shown some games live too to watch. For those of you who want to follow that. Time for the soapbox. The pitcher's mound. Like we said last week, one minor league, they want to move it back to 61 feet, 6 inches. Their reason is teams or batters are getting too good. Or pitchers getting too good. Games are 1-0, too many no-hitters, they don't like it. Kind of like when they, back after the 68 season, they changed the height of the mound. Now they'll move it back. Kind of when they add the DH, they want to add more offense. I like a 1-0 game, a 2-1 game. That's just me. I like a pitcher's duel game. I don't want to see a 7-5 game. I don't want to see a 10-7 game. I don't want to see our backup catcher pitching game like the Twins have had to do twice this year. I like the competitive games. There was one stat I was looking at here when they're talking about it. It was back in 2018. Here it is. 2018 was the first time in Major League Baseball history, the end of the season, there was more strikeouts than hits. So, I mean, what you think about it, you look at back at a lot of games. Well, you know, DeGrom, or just for example, sorry, I'm a Mets homer. Well, he had 9 strikeouts, and there's only like 5 hits in that game. But then look at the Twins game. There was like 3 strikeouts and 7 hits. So they all kind of washed throughout the year. But that one season, there was more strikeouts than hits. I like I said before, I like the pitcher's duel. I like those games. Yes, like the old Nike commercial with Maddox and Tom Glavine. Chicks dig the long ball. I get it. We all like offense and big home runs every now and then too. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with even a 5-1 game. I'm okay with that. But again, I don't like the 8-5 game, the higher scoring games. Sorry, I like the pitchers. And also, when you think of pitchers, there's the one meme that goes around. It's nothing cooler than Tom Kelly and his Zubas smoking a cigar, throwing batting practice. The old Metrodome.
Classic.
Anytime I could show TK and Zubas in the same picture, you got to go with it.
Oh, my.
New albums coming out. Prince, Welcome to America, due July 30th. I heard Born to Die today online. I can see that on our Facebook page. Okay, kind of a 70s type tune to it. Prince music, or any of these artists after they've passed away, and they go, we have all these songs in their archives, we're going to release it. From what I've heard of Prince, he was kind of the perfectionist. There's a reason he didn't release it yet. He didn't think it was ready. Pretty sure he didn't have a little poster going, hey, when I die, release this album. Guarantee there was no note like that. I'm sure they were all great songs. The songs I heard are good songs, don't get me wrong. I liked them. I think they're good songs, but were they at Prince's standards is another story. That's why he left them there. I just want to enjoy his music. I thought he was a very talented man. So I'm looking very forward to getting a Welcome to America coming out end of July. David Lee Roth and John Five. John Five is a guitarist who's played with a new band called LA Rat, which is Rob Zombie, Nikki Sixx, and Tommy Kloftos on drums. Tommy has drummed with Rob Zombie and Ted Nugent in the past, and Ozzy and stuff. But John Five and David Lee Roth have done a song. It's a country song. sounds like it should be from the Smokey and the Bandit soundtrack. It's just cheesy, it's corny, it's David Lee Roth, but it's got a country tone to it. I listened to it because it was research for the show. I would not pay a quarter in the jukebox to hear the song again. If it was on the radio and I was the one in charge of the radio in the car, I would change to the station. I love DL Roth. I like John Five's music, but you know what? No. Don't. No. Unless you lose a bet or you're just super curious. Yes, we posted the song on the Facebook page. If you give it 30 seconds to say you heard it, go ahead. If you make it farther than that, you're a better man than I. Moondance Jam coming up in Walker, July 20th through 24th. Here's just some bands on there. Hailstorm, Grand Funk Railroad with Bruce Kulick from Kiss. Bruce playing guitar for them now. Almost Cooper, an Alice Cooper tribute band. Some of the guys in there and Almost Cooper used to be in Hairball. So pretty good cover band. And Alice Cooper has worked with Almost Cooper on some fundraising stuff and other things. So Alice does acknowledge the band. He's blessed them with whatever holy water Alice Cooper has to do this stuff. He's okay with it. Night Ranger, who just had a new album out, we mentioned last week, will be there. Firehouse, and there I put a recent picture of Firehouse with their shorter hair and receding hairlines. They're not all sexy, blonde, long-haired people anymore. And Foghat. Those are just some bands. There's other bands there. These are just the 6 I like that I want to push. Legacy of the Loud, a band we've pushed on here before too. July 31st at Main Street in Hopkins. Plus, they got some other shows they got coming up. You could follow either their Facebook page or ours. We do push a lot of their band sites on there. Legacy of the Loud, very good band. If you get a chance to go see them, please, please do. Highly recommended. Red River Valley County Fair, River Valley Fair. Nice mix of talent there. Skillet on July 9th. Something called Chris Young. And someone else, Michael Ray. Never heard of either one. So I'm going to go with their country music on July 10th. Styx on the 11th. Rat, Quiet Riot, and Kicks on the 16th. And Trace Atkins on the 17th. I like Trace Atkins as a country artist. I think he's okay. Personally, my wife and daughter would go watch him sit and read the phone book, as far as I know. The gals seem to enjoy him and his sound. I like just his sound. So just want that noted for the record. Foo Fighters are on tour. They are not coming to Minnesota right now. The closest they will be is July 30th in Milwaukee at the American Family Insurance Amphitheater. So to our friends beyond the Cheddar Curtain, or those who want to go to Milwaukee July 30th, as you're out buying the new Prince album, you want to go to a Foo Fighters concert. There you go. That, sir, is what I got. Kind of short and sweet for everything for me. I do want to mention on the whole moving the mound back part. The only thing that fears me on that the most is a lot of these guys, Alex, and you got your friend there in the minors that's pitching over there. I'd like to hear from him later. They've been training since high school for 60 feet, 6 inches. A foot is a lot. You know, I guess one of my biggest things is they say there's too many strikeouts and they want more high-scoring games for the fans. The thing I fear is, yeah, the pitchers are getting better and stronger. The batters are going to catch up to that. If they don't put that batting practice net in front of the pitchers pretty soon, there could be problems. You know, something that would be one reason to maybe move it back. Just everybody's getting bigger and stronger. I would be easier with that theory than we want to see more runs, so we want to see the pitchers struggle. Let's push it back. You know, they said, no, for the pitcher's safety, because the batter's getting bigger, we're moving it back. That I would get. I guess if they're doing that, before I'd move the mound back, I'm not a realist. I'm not a traditionalist. I like the mound where it is. They want to mess with the height again. I guess that's fine. But you hear a lot of talk about the automatic or the computerized strike zone. If you follow tennis a lot, they have that for their. They say the ball hits the line. A player could say, "No, I want that challenged." They know right now. They could show you right now if it was in or out. If they do the automatic strike zone like that, just as long as each dugout has that same computer model, so managers can see it and not bark. Yes, I could see that being better. But kind of the fun part of the game is making a guy chase one out of the strike zone. You won't see that as much with an automated or with a computer-generated strike zone, I don't think. Because some umpires will give one here or there. Some won't. We've all seen it. There's the makeup call. That won't happen. Well, yeah, because we'll be right the first time. I'd rather see the makeup call, okay? So, hey, if he's calling that a strike, I better swing with one coming in. You won't see that in the computer-generated one. But I'd rather see that before moving the mound back. Move the mound up or down if you're going to do anything. Don't move it back because, I mean, look at in football. When they move the extra point back, oh, you moved it back. Okay, but kickers are kicking anywhere from 50. A 50-yard field goal used to be a big deal. Now it's like, oh, it's only a 52-yarder. You know, maybe in a few years we'll be okay with it. I'm not a fan of moving it back. And my other topic, the Timberwolves moving, that's a business move. I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but do I want to see the team move? No. I know it brings money into my area. I know it brings tax dollars into my state. I don't want that leaving. That's the economist in me. Did they ever get a dollar of mine? No. But that's okay. The Ordway doesn't get a dollar of mine either, and I don't want them leaving either. So, you know.
Now, Andy, there's a pennant, two pennants behind you.
Yes.
One is Timberwolves.
That's the original Timberwolf one. I mean,
it is.
I like the Timberwolves, the old school Timberwolves. I loved basketball. I loved basketball then. The team now just – we don't have a player more than 2 years here, and then they're gone. It's really hard to follow. Mm-hmm. I follow them on the news. I read them. I know what's going on with the team. I know enough to say they're not doing well. Okay, I know enough to say the Lynx, in my opinion, were the better deal. You bought the Timberwolves, you got the. No, you bought the Lynx and got the Timberwolves. And I don't know if that's ownership. Maybe that's why I'm frustrated with the Timberwolves. Oh well, we got Karl-Anthony Towns. Great. Look at the Lakers. They got LeBron James and Anthony Davis and got bounced last night in the playoffs. You need more than one stud. I'd rather have 12 slightly better than average players than one stud and 11 garbage players. I just, ever since Flip left, maybe the homer move, ever since Flip Saunders left the team, they just haven't made a right decision. When Kevin McHale was here, he made some ballsy moves. People don't like him. He left. Funny, he went to Houston. Look how he turned that situation around in a couple of years. So you just got to ride stuff out. A lot of coaches the Timberwolves had in years, you get our coaches, oh, Bob Casey, he was no good. Geez, he went to Toronto and did great things there. We've had other coaches, they got their first job here. They didn't give them time, and they went on and became really good coaches elsewhere. Ryan Saunders got the job because of his old man. Sorry, Ryan, you're a nice guy. But you're like the guy, you're a great assistant. You're great player development. You're a great minor league coach. Difference in the majors. And I think that's where maybe one day he can, but get some more experience learning from other big name coaches. Maybe he could coach the Gophers. Who knows? Maybe he'll go to college and coach. You do that for a few years, come back and try the pros again. Who knows? But I like the Timberwolves organization. I don't want to see them go. I just don't like the product they have on the floor right now. Of course, that's the old school Timberwolves. That's Sam Mitchell. That's Pooh Richardson. That's Randy Brewer Timberwolves, okay? I don't know these Timberwolves. The game changed since that. That's 50-year-old white boy saying that, though. The game has changed and passed me by. Which is fine. Go to where your strengths are marketing wise. I'm not your marketing strength, so go for it. I don't follow curling either. The curling club in Chaska does a ton of money every year. Not my thing. Doesn't mean every sport has to appeal to Andy. Contrary is what people think. Again, Timberwolves they're a good team. They're a good young team if you're into basics. I like Karl Anthony Towns. I loved him in college. I think he's a good player, but it's just him on the team. I feel bad for him. But then again, we had what's his name here? Kevin Love. He was the stud on this team. When he went to Cleveland, he's just Joe average player. Every other team goes with. So Karl Anthony Towns, would he be a stud elsewhere, or would he still be Joe average player? Garnett, we got him. We had a couple good runs with him. With one really good run with him, with Tim and Gugliotta. We had the one good year, and Latrell Sprewell, we had that one good run then. But then we're done. We had one and dones and gone. Sign a bunch of guys to 4-year deals and stick with them. Let them learn together. Kind of like what they used to do in college before they all came one and done. Speaking of college, Mike Krzyzewski. Not a big Duke fan, but I respect the hell out of Mike Krzyzewski as a coach. He knows more about basketball. He's forgotten more about basketball than I'll ever know. Krzyzewski, great coach. Mount Rushmore of college coaches for basketball. Yes, Mike Krzyzewski's up there. But Duke was always great all these years. The last few years, they've kind of fallen off. Even Duke players are going 1-2 year and gone. They're not staying all 4. When Krzyzewski was there with Grant Hill and Leitner and Bobby Hurley, those guys were staying 4 years. You can make a good run then. Yeah, that's what the pros have to do. You want to get a guy a year out of college, okay, he's going to be a great player. Is he a person? Is he a teammate? Is he a man yet? No, he's 19. Get the guys who went 4 years in college. Get the guys who know how to be a team, know how to do things. Let them work for 4 or 5 years together in the pros and see what happens.
I think the Wolves fans always kind of blamed it on the luck of the draw, the lottery pick. We never got the lottery. We never got the big name, the big player. If we got that, then we'd be fans. Well, now we get it. We get the lottery pick last year. And now there's still fans are blasé. There's not interest here in Minnesota.
Jordan was the 3rd pick that year. Rest of my case. When we got Garnett, he was what? We were the 5th or 7th pick or something like that. Got Kevin Garnett, one of the best players in NBA history. You got to take a guy. You got to have more than the one guy, though. You got to put others around him. And we got to have the right coach. And not only have to sign the players and stick with them for 4 or 5 years, you got to sign the coach and stick with him for 4 or 5 years. Sorry, coach, 15 wins after 2 years, gone. Really? Who have you given me? All sports, so that's my problem is don't cut the coach so fast. I mean, let's look at time out from sports and songs for a minute. Let's take a look at life. Look at the kid down the street who's always egging the houses or doing this or that. Are his parents the problem or is he the problem? We don't know. It could be either one. So let's go back to sports now. A player's doing bad. Is he really not that good a player, or is the coach not coaching him? It could be either way. So you got to give the coach more time over the players, I think. I just wish Timberwolves would get players and don't get the hometown boy all the time. If you want to invite him in for camp and he's number 14 on the roster, great. But don't draft him just because he went to high school here. I'm sure there's other players better than him. I think if the Wolves moved to Seattle, I don't know if they'd be. Seattle wants a team. Don't get me wrong. They're mad the Sonics left. It's kind of like when the North Stars left here. Wait, we didn't want them to go. The owner saw dollar signs and left. If A-Rod wants to move the team to Seattle, that $50 million penalty to get out of Target Center contract, Seattle Stadium, whoever, will pay that, no problem. Because they'll make more than that on T-shirts, ticket sales, merchandise that first year, no problem. So, business decision-wise, him moving the team there he's just got to get the votes from the rest of the league to do it. I don't see it being a hiccup anywhere. We have no say in it as fans or people. Again, business side, Andy, I love having the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Oh, the money we draw from taxes from other athletes coming in, the hotels and the businesses down there making profit. I'm all for it. We're going to bring all the teams in we can. Can we get a minor league hockey team here again too? I'd love that. Just let's bring in as much income as we can to the state. No problem. But when the Timberwolves do what they've done the last few years and take the fans and basically said, we like this guy, so we're going to sign him. We don't know how good he is, but he's going to sell T-shirts and he's going to put people in the stands. Okay, but I'm not going to watch him on TV because he's a one-man show. I want to see a team. I want to see the Timberwolves play basketball, not Karl Anthony Towns score 45 and the rest of the team score 30 and lose by 40. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Karl Anthony Towns goes off for 45. Great. The rest of the team had 70 and we won by 10. That's what I want to see. Not Hot Dog Joe. And the local media bothers me on that too, especially for the Timberwolves. Maybe it's just because I look for it to bother me because I'm a crotchety old man now. But they'll go, oh, this Timberwolves player, what a great game. He was the first ever to have 45 points and 10 rebounds and 3 assists and a block and 2 steals and this and that. You didn't mention the fact that we lost by 25.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about individual stats. I care about wins and losses for my Timberwolves and for my Wild and for the Twins. That's where I want to see the stuff is in the wins. There's an I in wins, not in loss. I want wins. And if you look at a lot of teams like that are doing well in basketball, the Phoenix Suns, who just beat the Lakers, they're a high seed. Okay, because of commercials, besides Chris Paul naming a member of the Phoenix Suns. Exactly. The other teams are doing well. Oh, Golden State. They got Steph Curry. They're not in the playoffs. They got the big name player. They're not in the playoffs. I think what A-Rod's hoping for a little bit too, maybe with the Seattle move, because of Minnesota for just having a bad rap. And I'm not taking away from the fans of this town, but the Brooklyn Nets. They got a lot of big players there for 2 reasons. They moved out of New Jersey, went to Brooklyn, and Jay-Z is an owner. They don't want to play for their buddy Jay-Z, which is fine. If you got a guy who's a musician or an actor and he's buddies with athletes, yes, he could buy into my team anytime he wants. That's me, though. But we'll see if the team moves or not. Like I said, it's a business deal. Let's move on off of the basketball. That's the most basketball we've talked all year, I think. Trivia answer, sir, before we get to the music.
Trivia question. Well, the trivia question was the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour was in town, and that's a big deal in these towns. People show up, the place is packed. It's on all the newscasts. It's on the 4 o'clock, the 5 o'clock, the 6, the 9 o'clock, the 10 o'clock news, and they really got a nice little niche there. And they started doing this in 2018. So Fox 2018, they did 2019. They took 2020 off. 2020 now they're back. So this is really the 3rd full year of doing it, but it's a great niche, and I think it's too late now for other news broadcasts to get into that because now they'd be copycats. But
right.
the reason it took off, I think,
Oh, yep.
is the book right there. Todd Mueller's book, Town Ballparks of Minnesota. He covers 27 ballparks in this coffee table book. And it really got the attraction and the attention of a lot of Minnesota folks that got back into amateur baseball. And now this Fox 9 is piling on. And, you know, we get the annual game at Target Field, the Town Ball Classic they have. And that they started that in 2015. So these things are all kind of feeding the fire, fueling the fire. And it's helping out the sport, I think.
Well, and also I know when you were at the game, because we were watching for you, Fox 9's website televises that game that they're at.
They stream it on their internet program called their Fox Plus website. They actually stream the entire game, and they're doing interviews, not baseball related, but they're doing promotional work in the town with the local restaurants and bars and wineries, and they had the local barber on. And so they really give a good plug to these small towns and the community itself. So it's a good. I thought they did a good job with it. Fox. Next week is in Buffalo, and then they move to Delano, St. Patrick, Parade Stadium. They're going to feature, so that will be good. The Twins, Major League Baseball, 4th lowest in wins. I'm tracking the Major League Baseball lowest number of wins teams, and the Twins have been hovering around 5th place. They lost a few. Now they're back to 4th lowest in all of Major League Baseball. Like I said, they're getting to the point where they got to play out the season because there's not much room to move. They can't seem to get ahead of Detroit for 4th place. Now,
are the Twins buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
That'll be the question. They've got talent, they've got injuries, and they're blaming the injuries. Now, you just mentioned the Mets, all their injuries, they're in 1st place. So I don't buy that story a lot from the fans saying we have injuries. The Mets are doing just fine. They don't have a single player on the roster, the original guys.
Well, Lindor, and he's batting 198.
And he's the only one. So the Twins have issues with the outfield. They had this whole big backlog of great outfielders. They've all been hurt. Now we're bringing up the good prospects from AAA. Now they're getting thinned out. And so just this last week alone, we had another outfielder move up from AA to AAA because the Saints are thin in the outfield. So it's interesting how the whole domino effect, guys from AA are now getting moved up because of the injury situation. They're getting they're getting fast tracked in their career. They're moving up to the next level.
Who's the Twins outfielder that crashed into the wall this week? What was his name?
That's Ref Snyder.
I like him.
He's good.
I saw his style, his play. I like him. He seems a gamer. I really, he's not one of those, who would you going to pay to see play?
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay to see him, but if you had a team of guys like him, I'd love that team. I like him. I like his heart. I like his.
Given a second chance, kind of floundered around the majors for a while. Twins picked him up, moved him up now because of the injuries, and he's been performing very, very good. He's a veteran guy with veteran leadership, and a quiet guy, goes about his work and gets the job done offensively and defensively. Very, very talented. Now, the Yankees injury, center fielder Aaron Hicks, former Twin, wrist injury, out for the season. Now they're going to be looking, and there's already been some talk about, the Twins buyers and sellers. Byron Buxton, he gets hurt a lot, but other teams are willing to pay big bucks. Would the Yankees go for someone like him? Who knows? It'll be fun to watch the next couple of weeks. Now, the one thing I wanted to watch, I was interested in, and you'd mentioned that piece, Andy, in your segment. The Atlantic League is the independent league that's moving the pitching mound back 1 foot, but it's after the All-Star break. Now, local Minnesotan Jake Patrica was signed to play out there. Only came in, I think, a couple of games in relief. Signed by the Angels this week. He's not even going to get a chance to play. His contract was picked up.
So here goes our hook to find out what's going on. He goes to the Angels.
Yeah, we want to find out what's going on. We want to track it. I think that league has had already over 30 players' contracts picked up by major leagues. Doesn't mean they're playing in the major leagues, but major league teams purchase the contract. And like, for instance, Jake Patrica is going to be playing in AAA right off the bat. The Salt Lake Bees.
Okay, well, seriously though, if you had a pitcher you were eyeing there, you might want to sign him now before his mechanics get messed with by moving it back a foot.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of thinking of maybe for later, you might jump on that apple now before he picks up a bad habit.
Yeah, it's true. It's going to be, I think, like you said earlier on, you've been training since elementary, high school, junior high, to pitch a certain way, to deliver a certain way, to get the ball a certain distance in a certain box. Now you're moving a foot away. That's a pretty big dynamic to change and alter and change. So I don't mind that it's, I guess, doing it in that league where there's a lot of second timers coming around that trying to make their splash. It's not dealing with the fresh, new, young faces of the fresh draftees. That's really going to mess up their mechanics. I think that's a personal thing. Now, so Patrica, remember, he just pitched this year in amateur baseball for the Faribault Lakers, then pitched an independent league for High Point. Now he's going to go for play for Salt Lake Bees. That's what I've got for sports this week. Now, album of the week. This week's album of the week. Album of the week is a band by the name of White Lion. The album is called Pride. So I'll let you finish your thought there, Andy.
White Lion is one of those bands that those of us who listen to hair metal bands, we listen to White Lion. We just didn't admit to it.
Well, it's true. They did fly under the radar. This album came out in 1987. It's known as a glam metal band called Pride. White Lion, the animal lion goes and packs prides. Although this month is Pride Month, maybe why we brought this in, but
right.
But White
Lion tied in together there.
We tied in. It's the second studio album by American/Danish glam metal band White Lion, released in June 1987 by Atlantic Records. The album features two top 10 hits, Wait, and let me share the screen here. Remember that one?
Big drum roll.
Wait,
there it is.
And When the Children Cry. That was the other one that was mentioned. It peaked up
Very
there.
good song.
Billboard 200. Kind of flew under the radar. It's got special meaning to me because this was the first concert I attended, first rock and roll concert I attended. I went to go see a Kiss show, December 1st, 1987 at the Civic Center. The opening band was White Lion.
What year was it?
1987.
Civic Center. God, did White Lion? Yeah, I think. Yep.
Did you go to that one?
I believe so. Yes, I think that was.
So I was a little late to the rock music show as far as concerts. I didn't go until late. I was in my senior year in high school before I attended a rock and roll show, a heavy metal show. So I actually saw White Lion. Not a big fan, but it was interesting nonetheless. This album sold 2 times platinum in the U.S. alone, double platinum in the U.S., 3 times platinum worldwide. The album is 44 minutes and 9 seconds long. Here's the track listing. Song 1, Hungry. Song 2, Lonely Nights. Song 3, Don't Give Up. Song 4, Sweet Little Lovin'. Song 5, Lady of the Valley. Song 6, Wait. This got some heavy rotation when MTV came out with music videos. And this song wasn't even charting. The album wasn't even in the charts right off the bat until several months later after they started touring. And then this song went really well. Next song is All You Need Is Rock and Roll. Song 8, Tell Me. Song 9, All Join Our Hands. And song 10, When the Children Cry. Now, the personnel: lead singer Mike Tramp, vocals. Lead guitarist Vito Bratta. Now, Vito Bratta is the Eddie Van Halen lookalike who was inspired and plays like Eddie Van Halen. He looks just like him. Vito Bratta was one of the favorite guitarists by Zakk Wylde. Says one of the most talented guitarists out there at the time was Vito Bratta. Vito Bratta from Staten Island. Very good. In fact, he turns 60 next month. 60 years old, Vito Bratta. Bass was James Lomenzo. Drums, Greg D'Angelo. I think he was with Anthrax before. The Pride started their tour. It was called the Pride Tour, of course. Started in July 1987 as White Lion opened for Ace Frehley's band, Frehley's Comet. Frehley's Comet. And then the next year and a half was filled with constant touring for White Lion, opening for such bands such as Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne, Kiss. And then they landed the opening spot in January of 1988 for the AC/DC Blow Up Your Video American Tour. They were the opening act for that. So later on, they also toured with Stryper. Now, double platinum. The awards won by Vito Bratta was recognized as for lead guitar. He won the Best New Guitarist Award in both Guitar Magazine, Guitar World, and two magazines as the best new upcoming lead guitarist. And boy, was he good. Now, the heavy rotation was also When the Children Cry when it came to MTV. White Lion was signed by White Lion. Go ahead.
A song that's still pretty prominent today if you listen to it.
It is. White Lion was signed by Atlantic Records by a rep who chose to sign them over another band from a small town in Charles City, Iowa called Litterer with an L. Like someone who litters or a litterer. That band was very good. Atlantic said, should we sign them or this group? They said, let's rather take the big New York City band called White Lion, kind of a lesser risk over the small town. And that's why they picked them. So that's how the music world goes. Their very first album, they signed to a record deal. They produced their album and it didn't sell. The record label ripped it up and says, we're done. Bye-bye. Go somewhere else. It was a bust. So they had to go back and redo a new album and then start pitching this to record labels to even get out there. And the lead guitarist, Mike Tramp, formed the band with Vito Bratta. Mike Tramp came over from Denmark, formed the band with Vito. Mike Tramp, still around today, playing some of these older circuit clubs. He's a big fan of Ronnie James Dio. If you ever hear the song, after Ronnie James Dio died, he wrote a dedicated song to him called The Hymn to Ronnie. Look it up, read the lyrics, Hymn to Ronnie. Hymn as in a church hymn. Very good song. I listened to that today as well. He's still around, got the haircut short, but they used to have the big glam, big hair back in the day.
Yes.
That's all I've got for the music. White Lion Pride, 1987. And now I've got one last quote. You'll like this, Andy. At the end of 1980s and then early 1990s, rock music and heavy metal was going by the wayside because grunge came in. So check this out. I'm going to share the screen of the quote. A quote by Vito Bratta. Vito says, I've always said that grunge didn't kill the hard rock glam movement. The rock movement killed itself. He said hard rock in the 80s started off with this first wave of LA bands. Then the second wave of LA bands came along with the classic 70s rockers who started to rebrand themselves to fit the scene. Then the third wave came, and the fourth and fifth, further diluting the pool. Every 2 years, new cities got identified as the next big hub, after Seattle came up. So the record labels swarmed, and so many inferior derivative bands got signed. Then in the end, it all imploded. The real good acts couldn't be heard from all the noise of the crap acts. Vito Bratta, quote, that's very good. And in fact, he was right on the money.
Yeah, he's spot on.
The whole market industry got diluted out and went to pot. White Lion, one of those bands, kind of flew under the radar, had the next album that came out with Main Attraction, M-A-N-E, for Lion's Mane, as they like to do the play on words. That's the album of the week. Andy, anything else for this week's episode?
No, just like, talk about White Lion. I always liked their music. I said everybody liked, kind of like Night Ranger. Everybody liked them. No one admitted it, until later on. Now it's, well, yeah, of course I like White Lion. But I also funny. I listen to a lot of 80s generated music when I'm at work, either iHeart or Spotify or any of those things like that. And when you hear that song, When the Children Cry, that song could be released today and still fit. You know, not many songs from, not many ballad based on your genre or what's going on at the time could fit. Kind of like Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire. Kind of still fits today. Not that it's a timeless classic like Stairway to Heaven. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's one of those songs that if you heard it, you wouldn't know that. When did this song come out? You can give me anything from 75 to yesterday, and I'd believe you. You know.
Yeah, they released that in 1988. They also released All You Need Is Rock and Roll. And then the second song, which I forgot that they even did, was a song called Tell Me. And once again, I think a lot of people would know the music if you put in those 4 tracks, play them on your YouTube.
I like Tell Me better than Wait.
Find out that it's White Lion.
I like Tell Me better than Wait.
Yes. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Not by much, but Tell Me was a little bit better of a song. A little bit better in the car sing-along song. You know. White Lion, again, like you mentioned the guitarists, who they influenced by and who they were. It's hard to picture their influences and then picture them as the glam rock band. You know, it's just got to give everybody their chance. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to make it big.
What I'll do is post on the Facebook page the photo of Vito Bratta on the cover of Guitar Magazine back then. The guy looks like Eddie Van Halen. His musical style is very much like that, and that's where he got it from. But very talented. And,
right.
He had some family issues. Took care of his ailing father or something for a few years, and was off the radar for 10 years. The band folded and shut up, folded up shop, and that was really it. But they had some talent in there. But that's all I've got for this episode.
Advertisement for this week's page 2. A lot of you are probably going, Andy, you talk wrestling every now and then. Lots of big news this week. You didn't say boo about it. I'm saving it for page 2. It's going to be a lot of the big names WWE dropped this week and in the last few weeks. AEW's dropped wrestlers, contract cuts, and the big news coming out, WWE might be sold by the end of the year. Vince McMahon getting out of the business, and he's not selling it to his son-in-law, Triple H.
I did see some of your posts on the Facebook page with wrestling related are some pretty big bombshell news. You'll cover all that then on Tuesday.
Tuesday's page 2 episode will be a little longer than its normal 7 minutes. Might push 10 this time. Nice.
Maybe double digits.
Might double digits.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Stay cool, and please leave your comments in the description, in the comments section with requests and recommendations and comments as well.
Bison are in the baseball tournament. Horns up.
See ya. Let's go Bison.